Okay, let's play some damn chess.
I don't know what your capacities for mystery are.
I gotta go piss.
One of the reasons there are different theologies in the world.
I'm back. I gotta go piss.
One of the reasons there are divisions like that. There are many reasons, but one is capacities for mystery. I remember being in seminary and being told by some people who didn't like where the class was going in theology, that you Calvinists are just logic choppers. You're so precise, you're so rational, you just try to force God into your boxes. And I would listen, because I went to seminary as a non-Calvinist. I went to seminary as a flaming free willer. You may have heard me tell the story. I was standing in front of Jim Morgan one day after he had argued about the sovereignty of God, and I held up in front of his face like this, my pen, and I dropped it. I said, I dropped it! Like that proved it. Like, I'm in charge. I have a will, for goodness sakes. Don't tell me God's in charge of that. I dropped it. Well, I changed before the end of that class. But that's where I came. That's where I came. I was that. And so when they said to me, oh, you Calvinists are just logic choppers forcing God into your little boxes, I was thinking, I don't think it's that way. It looks to me like the Calvinists are asking me to believe imponderable mysteries, and the other group has their boxes. Yeah, but I don't want to alienate anybody.
Oh, I missed it.
So let me illustrate with this email. I don't know what your capacities for mystery are. One of the reasons there are different theologies in the world.
Yes?
Let's just use some names.
Thank you.
Calvinism and Arminianism. One of the reasons there are divisions like that.
Charge your phone?
Yes.
There are many reasons, but one is capacities for mystery. I remember being in seminary and told by some people who didn't like where the class was going in theology, that you Calvinists are just logic choppers. You're so precise, you're so rational, you just try to force God into your boxes. And I would listen, because I went to seminary as a non-Calvinist. I went to seminary as a flaming free willer. You may have heard me tell the story. I was standing in front of Jim Morgan one day after he had argued about the sovereignty of God, and I held up in front of his face like this, my pen, and I dropped it. I said, I dropped it! Like that proved it. Like, I'm in charge. I have a will, for goodness sakes. Don't tell me God's in charge of that. I dropped it. Well, I changed before the end of that class. But that's where I came. That's where I came. I was that. And so when they said to me, oh, you Calvinists are just logic choppers forcing God into your little boxes, I was thinking, I don't think it's that way. It looks to me like the Calvinists are asking me to believe imponderable mysteries, and the other group has their boxes. Don't want to offend anybody. Yeah, I do, but I don't want to alienate anybody. So let me illustrate with this email. What I mean is, everybody I have ever talked to about this who disagrees with me argues largely from it cannot be, and so the text can't mean that. instead of saying the text sure looked like they mean that, so it must be, and there's something wrong with my head. That's the way I think. I see what's in the text, and I say, my head's the problem. It's too small, it's too self-centered, it's too something, but I'm the problem, not the Bible. Whereas others come and they have their convictions. Like, if that were true, there'd be no free will. Ergo, it can't mean that. I think, that's a box. That's squeezy God in your free will box.
He's trying to get his Uzi on.
It's never been my experience that the Calvinists are the logic choppers and the box fitters. It's that the Calvinists seem to be the people who see text and say, I don't get it, but there it is. It's just there. And I've got to bow. I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. I wept for a whole semester in college when I was 22 years old because my life was falling apart. My Sunday school theology was falling apart. And when your paradigms fall apart, it hurts. There's emotional terror almost inside.
I'll play patty cakes all night long.
So last year I got this email from somebody that had just gone to a conference with a philosopher, and I'm not going to give you his name.
Patty cakes all night long, you slut.
The philosopher's name I might tell you if you ask me in the break, because I don't think it's any secret, but in this setting it might not be appropriate. So listen to this. This week I spent time with blank. So this philosopher teaches the evangelical seminary. He does not like Calvinism too much. He began to talk about how the mass majority of the exegetes, now that's Bible people, Bible interpreters, as opposed to philosophers, that the exegetes adopt Calvinistic interpretations while the mass majority of philosophers and apologists opt for Arminianism. We came to some fascinating conclusions, all of which I will not share. But he did say, quote, it is true Calvinists have the exegesis behind them, but we have philosophy. And I think libertarianism, that means free will understood as self-determination, I think libertarianism trumps exegesis and must determine it. I said to him, so we have to bring our theology to the text? Answer, yes, he responded. The ethical implications of Calvinism are too.
Man, I fucked up.
So a major evangelical philosopher says the exegesis is on the side of the Calvinists, philosophy is on the side of the Arminians, and you have to bring your philosophy to the text. Otherwise, evangelical philosopher says the exegesis is on the side of the Calvinists, philosophy is on the side of the Arminians, and you have to bring your philosophy to the text. Otherwise, the conclusions you draw are too severe. Now, I do not think that way, and you just need to know that. If I see something that feels too severe, I cry, I struggle, I preach it right away, I talk to people, I just, God help me, please. I am not going to rise up over your word. I'm not going to rise up over your word and tell this book what it has to mean. That's what liberals have done forever. Picking and choosing from Jesus what teachings they like and what they don't, or picking from Ezekiel 16 what part you like and what part you don't. You know what happens if you do your theology that way? It's just a reflection of your culture, or your family, or yourself. It's not. Whereas there's a glorious freedom if you're willing to live with tension and live with mystery. There's a glorious freedom in just taking the Bible for what it, after very rigorous effort, is meaning. So that's my email. Here's my story. I decided in I think it was 80, I wrote it down, 87. I could give you her name, or I have it right here. She still goes to my church. Her husband, I decided to preach a series on the minor prophets. And so I was going to do one sermon per prophet. And I did it. It's online somewhere. Everything I've ever said is online somewhere. And so I did it, and so the sermon in October of 1987 was on Malachi.
Move. Slut.
Now, what am I going to say about Malachi? Got one sermon for the whole book, 4 chapters. And I put in the bulletin chapter 1, verses 1 to 5. Because I do believe it does set up the book to understand the whole book. So I knew I'm going to preach a message that has in it the sentence, Jacob, I loved you, so I hated it, and it's going to be hard. I've been there 7 years at this church. All the changes theologically and ecclesiologically have not happened that I wanted to happen. Got a lot of people out there not on board with where I am. And so I'm going to preach this, and I'm just pleading with the Lord, make it edifying, make it helpful. And that morning, just before the first service, this woman's husband collapses and dies at church.
Fuck this. Hole!
The first service, and she's gone with the ambulance to the hospital, and the word is, he's dead. And I take a deep breath and say, what am I going to do now? Should we just not have service? Should I have
I fucked him up.
I've never faced this before.
That guy was a dumbass.
Everybody knows.
He could have done a better job getting that conundrum.
We're spreading quickly. We have a second service coming. And I've got half an hour to make a decision about how to do it. And I decided, okay, I will begin the service by telling everybody what happened and praying for his wife, who is down at the hospital.
Slut.
That's what we did. We started. It was an unbelievably heavy moment. Couldn't believe that he was gone. And we were all interceding for his wife for a few minutes. And then the service proceeded pretty much as usual. And we don't do chipper services at Bethlehem, so that was not a problem. We do serious services. So I didn't have to cancel all the jokes and all the skits.
But this particular hobby, no child should ever be involved in, and in my opinion, is borderline abuse. What's up, guys? It's your girl, NT here, and that stands for Natalia Taylor.
I hate her. I hate her with a passion.
It's officially Halloween.
I hate that. I hate her. She does not think I'm a good-looking guy. My arms are shorter than hers.
Her husband is dead as of half an hour ago.
I hope she goes to hell. She doesn't talk to me, pay attention to me on social media. I hope she dies of breast cancer.
And so I did another mental calculation. Like, what should I do? And I said, God knows what's going on here. He planned the sermon. He took the man. He brought her back for a reason. He knows. Preach what you had with the greatest gravity you can think of. So I did pretty much the kind of thing we're talking about right here. Mystery, opposition, unconditional election, all those things. They're just laid it out. And when I was done, I'm shaking people, and she's disappeared, and I'm wondering, almost everybody's gone, and she comes up to me. And I just,
your black ass was stolen, slut.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your husband. I named him. She said, I know. And I looked at her and I said, you came back for worship. And she said, I had to hear the word of God. I had to hear the word of God. And thank
Come on, slut.
For a big God and putting a rock under my feet. That's been my experience over and over again. That people, when the winds are about to tip your boat over, like the wind of your husband having just been taken away, I would guess they were in their late 40s.
Slut.
You need ballast in your boat. That's what I was trying to say last night, that sometimes it's just the bigness of a great and mysterious and weighty God that is a place to stand.
Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Go ahead, take my slut. I'll take your slut. That was a bloodbath. Oh, let's watch this. Well, let's watch this slut talk.
I don't know, what do you even call it? There is just so much to unpack here, and a lot of people don't know what is actually
I hope she
going
loses
on
her social media
with
fame
childhood pageants
status.
and where the world really
Fucking
stands.
slut.
I have been doing some
I hate
major
her.
research, and it's just crazy. Like, I can't believe these are
If she
actually
thought I was a good-looking girl, I could forgive her.
side of this world that seems to be all
If my forearms are longer than hers,
definitely not gold, so
I could forgive
we
her.
won't get into that. The tea is definitely hot today, but before we dive in, this video is sponsored by Karma, an app and browser extension that ensures you never miss a price drop or a coupon code. I don't know about you guys, but I do almost all of my shopping online now. And sometimes when I'm about to buy something, I just know there's a coupon code out there somewhere. And I struggle around looking for a YouTuber or someone that has a coupon code so I can save a little bit of money, but I just can't find it. This happens to me more than I would like to admit, but Karma is the perfect solution. It's just helpful because it automatically finds those codes for me, and I don't have to spend so much time scouring the internet for them. So all you have to do is click the link, download Karma onto your browser, click
Get that
add
slutty nut
extension,
over
and
here.
start shopping. It's that simple. And I like to get a jump on my holiday shopping. Before you know it, Black Friday and Christmas is going to be here. Karma is the perfect way to up your shopping game for Black Friday to make sure you are not missing any sales. So while you're shopping, just as you're at checkout, Karma will automatically tell you if there are savings to be had. Honestly, it's like a pleasant surprise, especially if you forget that you have the extension. It just pops up like, hey, don't forget, you can save 20 bucks on this camera. Karma also allows you to set up notifications on your email or phone to let you know if an item you've been eyeballing goes on sale. That is right. They'll just let you know. You don't have to keep checking the site. Also, when an item comes back in stock, if it's been out of stock and you've been wanting it, Karma will notify you. Another feature that I really like is Karma allows you to save items into lists where you can save all of the items that you eventually want to purchase or you just want to keep an eye on in case it eventually goes on sale. Karma will let you know. Here is everything that I have saved to my list of things that I eventually want to buy.
Get that
Obviously,
slutty
some of this
nut.
stuff is
Get
still
that
full price,
slutty
so
nut
I
out
have it
here,
set to let me know when that number goes down. I like being able to organize everything by an actual wish list. It just keeps me really organized, and this will also help when I'm shopping for other people for Christmas. Karma also has select retailers that give money back when you shop with them through Karma, and all of that money is donated to a good cause. So if you're like me and you want to save a little bit of money while you're shopping, click the link at the top of my description and download Karma for free to get started. Thank you so much again to Karma for partnering with me on this video, and thank you to everyone that supports the sponsors so we can keep making videos like this on my channel. Now back to the tea. The topic of child pageants has always been a controversial one, and this video is focusing on high glitz child pageants, not necessarily the natural pageants or adult pageants. If you would like a full video on the adult pageant world, that is its own deep dive, and we can do that, but today we're focusing on the kids and why no child should ever be allowed to participate in these competitions. Now, a quick disclaimer. If you are a person that has participated in pageants, this video is not an attack at just pageants in general. It's not even necessarily an attack at all. My channel is simply a place where we uncover the dark side of things that just seem to be happy. My channel is simply a place where we uncover the dark side of things that just
wait, she had spit effect arms.
At all. My channel is simply a place where we uncover the dark side of
with no spit.
Things things that just seem to be happy and fun on the surface, and these are simply my opinions.
Come on,
now that that's been said, let's dive in. But before we can understand the world of parading your child around like an ornament, first we must talk about where these pageants even came from. Pageants were believed to have stemmed from Old English.
Oh, go ahead and fuck up and take that rook.
Medieval times. Yes,
your ass is grass, slut.
Back to like Dungeons and Dragons and things of that nature. One of these festivals, for example, was May Day, which was a celebration.
Come on,
where
slut.
they would pick
Take that rook. Take that knight, slut. I got you a
lass,
nice checkmate.
Beautiful mistress, the most beautiful wench of all of the land, and they would crown her as May Queen. Kind of like my personal favorite movie, Midsommar. If you guys haven't seen that movie, it's basically all about that kind of thing with the May Queen and being crowned. And they say that that was the first ever beauty pageant for adult women. But they didn't actually call them beauty pageants until 1854, when an entrepreneur named Phineas Taylor Barnum started the very first official women's beauty pageant. Now, Phineas is going to be very important later, so remember his name. But he was the very first one, of course, it was a man, to start a beauty competition between local village women, where all you had to do to enter was submit your name and a brief description of yourself, and you would line up with all the they would vote on who was the most beautiful. And this was highly scored. Like, so many people protested the beauty pageant that it was shut down. Like, they did not like the idea of comparing women with their physical standards back then. Probably because, I mean, it was the 1800s. That was a way more modest era, and women didn't even show their ankles back then, let alone compete based on their physical
Get that slutty king out of here.
Still didn't stop the beauty pageant from becoming more popular in the late 1800s and early 1900s. But even though they were growing in popularity, beauty pageants were never really like, people always like controversial back then, and I imagine it's just because of the times. Now, I'm not going to make a statement on whether or not I like traditional adult beauty pageants. I am not a part of that world. I don't necessarily have an opinion on it, and I'm sure adult beauty pageants have their own dark side.
Come
like,
on,
I'm actually
slut.
sure. But like I said, it's not my opinion. It's just the way people thought about pageants back then. They didn't like them. But 1921
Come on,
is the year
slut.
that Miss America was officially founded. And I don't know if you guys know this, but it was created by a New Jersey businessman. Once again, a man created Miss America as a way to attract tourists to New Jersey. And I mean, it must have worked, because Miss America grew into this entire giant franchise that we know it to be today. And that's how it was with adult pageants. It just became this huge part of our culture in the modern day. But what about child pageants? When did that all start? Well, remember when I told you to remember Phineas Taylor Barnum? Okay, this is where he's gonna come back. After his beauty pageant got shut down in the 1800s, you know, the adult one, he decided to invent a child version. Yes, that's right. Where instead of adult women would be judged on their beauty, children would be paraded in the National Baby Show. And this pageant was absolutely praised. People loved it, even in the 1800s. And basically, parents would enter their babies into this competition where they would be judged on things like their health and how cute they were. That is the first ever known child pageant. And I just want to say how
Come on,
that
slut.
they completely scorned the adult version of the pageant in the 1800s, but then when the babies were up, they were all for it. Like, something about that is just a little weird to me, but let's continue. The National Baby Show was so popular,
Come on,
it
slutty
had
king.
143 child contestants. It was viewed by over
Come on, you slutty
61,000
king.
people. That is how many people loved watching babies be compared to each other. Like, it's a really weird thing to imagine 61,000 people gathered up to watch this. I don't know in the 1800s where
Oh,
this
you
took
just
place.
fucked up,
Obviously, they
cuz.
didn't have Twitch streaming back then.
Get
Like,
that
where were they
slutty
watching
king out of
this?
here.
They say that child pageants absolutely exploded at this time. There were baby
Spit,
parades.
spit,
You
spit,
would
spit,
actually
spit,
take
spit,
a
spit,
baby
spit,
and march them in like a parade down the street. There were baby contests where you would enter your child to win a prize. And they even had baby festivals where you would celebrate
fuck this.
gathering all your children and putting them up on
Slut.
research, I really realized how different it was for adults to compare themselves based on their aesthetics and their features versus them putting their children up and comparing their children. Like, way more energy around the children. And like, for some reason that freaked me out. Like, why is it that parents are way more likely to want to live through their children and have their children be compared to each other versus themselves? Like, the parents were just way more prideful in their kids than they were in themselves. And I think that is something that is going to carry throughout the rest of history with these child pageants. And one of the number one reasons they are so terrible and, in my opinion, need to be stopped. But that brings us to modern day. It was in the 1980s where child pageants in America really began to multiply, especially in the southern states. And this is really interesting. Everything about pageant culture is kind of, in a way, centered around the South. If you have any context as to why, please leave me a comment below. But it was in the 80s that pageants in the South really began to explode and also moved away from the more natural child competitions where there was minimal makeup and, you know, was really based on natural beauty, and it moved towards glitz. Now, if you have no idea what glitz means, it's basically a term that refers to a pageant that requires your child to be more than just cute. Glitz pageants require things like heavy makeup, crazy expensive outfits, and other things that we will get into. Now, I do want to say this. When the child pageant world moved from mostly natural into more glitz pageants, this is really when it became more harmful, in my opinion. And the first example being in 1996. I want to give anyone a trigger warning that might be sensitive to true crime. This is when I will be discussing the tragic case of JonBenet Ramsey. JonBenet was a 6-year-old girl who was a pageant star in the glitz world. But in 1996, this beautiful girl was tragically murdered in her home. The whole story of JonBenet Ramsey has captivated the world for years, and I would again love to make a full video diving into JonBenet. If you would like to see that, let me know. I won't get too deep into it, but basically they still have no idea who murdered this 6-year-old girl, and a lot of people believe that if her killer was not a family member, that maybe the pageants attracted her murderer, which gives me chills, honestly, to think about the fact that she was just a little girl. She was only 6, and they had her strutting up and down a stage, you know, wearing heavy makeup that was not appropriate for a 6-year-old. To think that maybe is the reason she is now not alive just makes me so sad. And I really want to know who killed JonBenet Ramsey, but we may never know. All I know is the pageant world was completely changed after this tragic murder. 5 days after JonBenet was found dead in her home, a documentary was released titled Painted Babies. This documentary followed around a child pageant star named Asia and her family as they traveled around the South, entering Asia into different pageants. And it showcased the behind the scenes of the child pageant world, and it was really weird timing, if you ask me, that they released this right after JonBenet was murdered. Like, people were watching the news station, seeing JonBenet, and then they would change the station and see this documentary about glitz pageants. It was a weird time, and more people were becoming aware of how toxic this world can really be. This documentary really put a lot of people off. It showed the little girls getting dressed up with lipstick and wearing high heels, walking up and down a stage. It just didn't sit right with most people. And after this, in a really sad and weird, twisted way, pageants became more popular. People thought that after the murder in the documentary that this was an up-and-coming industry where it was glamorous to enter your child into a pageant. You could possibly be on TV on a documentary if you were entered. Like, what the heck? Why is it sometimes that tragedy really sparks people to want to do that thing? Like, it just doesn't sit right with me, but unfortunately that is the reality. In the 90s is when child pageants became more popular and also more expensive to enter. The fees for a child pageant were typically like $20 to $50, and all of a sudden it exploded to $200 to $500 just to enter your child into a pageant. People saw it not as a weird hobby that some people did, but as an exclusive world where not everyone was invited. Not unless your child was beautiful, of course. And that brings us to the infamous TLC show, Toddlers and Tiaras. Now, I am not going to lie. Toddlers and Tiaras was a moment, okay? It first aired in 2000, and it showed the dark side of what it was like as a parent and a child in the world of high glitz beauty pageants. Now, no matter how you feel about Toddlers and Tiaras, and we all have our opinions, this show was so popular, okay? It ran for 9 whole seasons, which is really crazy for a television show. So many people were watching it that it had 1.3 million viewers weekly. Yes, that is how many people would tune in a week to watch Toddlers and Tiaras on TLC. Absolutely insane. People just couldn't stop watching the train wreck, and the show even created its own version of miniature celebrities, pageant children like Eden Wood, Mackenzie Myers, and Honey Boo Boo gained a lot of media attention after the show was aired. This show, you guys, might go down as one of the most controversial shows of all time because of the shocking moments.
I have to go shit. I'll be back.
Go ahead and give you guys another trigger warning. I'm about to share with you some of the things that mothers would make their children do before these beauty pageants and during these pageants that are unethical and, like I said, borderline child abuse. So you've officially been warned. One episode of Toddlers and Tiaras featured a mother spray tanning her 15-month-old baby. Yes, in order for her child to have a leg up on the competition, as a baby, she spray tanned her child. Like, who in their right mind, especially like a 15-month-old child? Like, not only is that kid so young that they can probably barely talk, let alone like tell you if they want to be in pageants at all, you have to spray tan them. I'm sorry, but they must be missing like a screw in their brain to think that that's okay. Now, this one isn't as bad, but in another episode, they showed how desperate parents were to have their children win, that they spent $5,000 on a dress for their child to wear in the pageant. Like, one dress was $5,000. Like, I honestly can't relate. Like, if my child wanted to do something, I would not spend $5,000 like on one outfit. That is just so crazy to me, but again, that is just my opinion. Like, I don't have that kind of money, so I can't speak for rich people like that, but I would simply fail to exist at that point. Like, that's the point where I'm like, you know what, we're getting you involved in soccer or golf or something a little bit more harmless and affordable. In another instance, you guys might have heard about this one. A mother dressed her 3-year-old in a costume for a routine in her pageant that resembled the prostitute in the movie Pretty Woman, played by Julia Roberts. This episode sparked so much controversy because parents all over the world agreed you should not be dressing your 3-year-old in a costume of a character that's a prostitute. Like, it's just not appropriate. It attracts the wrong attention. It's too, like, I don't know, risque. Like, it's sexualizing the child, and we can all agree that that is not okay. And what I really want to know is, like, what was going through the mother's mind? She decided to pick that as the costume. Like, you couldn't pick something that was a different character. Like, if you wanted a movie character, you should have thought it through a little bit more. And I honestly think it's one of those situations where if you were to ask the mother, like, what were you thinking? She would just say, like, I wasn't. Like, she simply must not have been thinking about the context of this costume, because it really doesn't make sense to me. And this wasn't the only time that a mother on Toddlers and Tiaras dressed their daughter up appropriately. Another mom with a 6-year-old that entered into a pageant dressed her up as Dolly Parton. Now, you might think, Natalia, that seems harmless enough. Dolly Parton is a cute costume for a 6-year-old. Maybe. But this mom decided to stuff the chest and the butt of the costume of her 6-year-old, thinking that it was quirky, funny to have her 6-year-old running around with this clearly inappropriate outfit. Like, what was the joke? Because I'm missing the joke here. I think when you're so caught up in this pageant world and you're just not in normal society, maybe they just like don't think about these things. They don't think about how people can perceive their children when they're dressed up like sexual objects. It really blows my mind. And it just shows the lack of perception that these parents experience. And it just keeps happening like over and over again. Another mom putting her child in an outfit to look like Madonna, and it included like a cone bra. Like, this isn't okay. Like, who told you that this was appropriate? Like, this needs
Get that slutty bishop out of here, slut.
It's not funny. It's not a joke. It's actually very harmful, and I don't think high glitz pageants are being held accountable for allowing this type of behavior. I mean, the requirements alone to be involved in a glitz pageant as a child are absolutely ridiculous. Some of the things that you have to do to prepare your child include getting them a fake tan, which is either in a tanning bed, yes, some parents do it, or a spray tan or tanning lotion to make their kid look like they have a nice summer glow. When in reality, half the time, while they're spraying their children, they're screaming and crying, begging their parents to stop. They also require fake nails on kids as young as 1 or 2. And then there's the fake hair pieces, which are thousands of dollars within themselves to have hair on top of your child's head because their child is so young that they haven't grown enough hair yet that you have to buy fake hair to put on your child's hair. Like, it's so weird, and it makes them look way older than they actually are. And then you have to get the hair styled, and that's not even including the outfits. No, the outfits, the cupcake dresses, can range anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. Yes, parents are spending this much money. And listen, I get it. If you have a hobby for your child, if you have the money and the means to do something fun that your child wants to do, like, that is your prerogative, okay? But when you are getting up to the $5,000 range and your child is screaming and crying and being blasted all over television, like, it just does not feel right to me, and I'm not sure in what world that would be okay. Another thing about these glitz pageants that really freaks me out is the way that they make their kids wear fake teeth, and they call them flippers. Because these kids are so young, they are losing their baby teeth, and they apparently don't think that that's appropriate on stage. No. So you have to get your own fake teeth made, so when you wear your fake teeth on stage, it looks like you have perfect veneers, like adult veneers. It's creepy. Not to mention the super heavy makeup and eyelashes that these kids have to wear. Like, 3-year-olds wearing fake eyelashes, just like crying and trying to rip them off while their moms are having a meltdown about how much money they're spending on the makeup. Like, it's actually a mess. And on top of all of that, these parents are hiring pageant coaches, which are probably very expensive, like in the thousands of dollars, just to prepare your child to have routines for their pageants. And all of that stuff really adds up in cost. And most people that are participating in child pageants aren't just made of money. Like, they're not billionaires. Like, if you've seen the show, a lot of them say that they have not paid their bills so they can afford to put their children in pageants. They've missed car payments and their lights went out because they didn't pay their bills, and it just doesn't seem like a healthy relationship with all of the money that's being spent. Not just that, but also the hundreds of hours that are put into training and traveling. Like, it's so much pressure to put on children that are entering into these pageants. And I think ultimately that's why we're seeing these parents get so upset when they take their kid to the pageant. They spent hours and thousands of dollars preparing them for this one moment on stage, and their kid, who is 3 years old, acts like a normal 3-year-old, and they get on stage and they have a meltdown or they're tired. The parents just freak out, like they don't know what to do, and they almost get angry at the child. It's so sad because obviously this parent is frustrated because they've put so much time and money and energy into this moment that they feel like their child just blew it. But really, you should have probably considered your 3-year-old being a 3-year-old before you put that much pressure on them to perform after you invested so much time and money into something that isn't even fun at this point. And it honestly scares me. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever mad, like if you're at the grocery store and you're acting up and you're just like afraid to get in the car because your mom's gonna yell at you. I can't even imagine what it feels like to be a pageant kid and have a breakdown on stage and your parents be so mad at you because all of that time and effort, like that can't be a good parent-child dynamic. Like, I don't know, I'm just assuming, I'm not a parent, but I'm just speculating, like there's no way that could be healthy. And I know you guys have seen those episodes where they load their kids up with sugar like Mountain Dew and Pixie Sticks right before they're about to go on stage. It's almost like they're hyping them up to get them to perform. But the show Toddlers and Tiaras drew so much controversy, you guys, that it was canceled in 2016. Never again, because people were fed up. And one of the good things about the show is it really did have an impact on the world in such a way that certain countries, yes, whole countries have banned child pageants, like France. It really did bring light to the dark side of a world that seemed to be all glitz and glamour. No offense to anyone that participates in pageants watching this video, but I love you guys so much. I will leave all of my videos on a playlist somewhere on the screen so you can entertain yourself for hours. Thank you again to Karma for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to click my link to try Karma for free. Thank you again for watching. I thoroughly hope you enjoyed, but most of all, I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day.
Slut. God damn it. Goddamn poem. Ooh. Get that slutty king out of here. Shit. You slut. Come on, you slut. Come on, slut. Come on, you slut. Spit, 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 spit. Just like a well-programmed machine. Whisper, no, 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 no. Your ass is grass, bitch. I fucked his hoe! And now my dick is getting hard. Come on, slut. Get that whore. Get that slut out of here. Slut. And now you just cost yourself a night. Slut. Stupid! Like I said, you just cost yourself a damn night. Slut. Get that damn bishop out of here. I'll take that damn bishop out for a poor dinner. Oh, you want to be a moron? Go ahead. Moron yourself away. Slut. No. Come on, slut. Come on, you fucking slut. Oh, you stupid slut. Damn. Man, this is fucking pissing me off. Come on, you slutty king. Slut. Ooh. Man, I'm fucking his. Ho! Man, my dick's getting so hard. Move or I'll put your black ass for stone, even if though you are white. Slut. so bad. Now I really can relax. Get that damn king out of here. My dick is getting hard. I'll put your black ass for stalling, bitch. There's only one way you can go down here, and I'm gonna ash you up with this whore. He's trying to query me out of this game, hoping I'll be so hot up to play the next game that I'll resign and let him win to play the next game instead of waiting out 3 and 4 minutes for his time to run out. So he's cheating. Son of a bitch. Shit. Come on, slut.
Okay, did I ever tell you guys the time that I went to go visit a psychic while
looks
claiming
like
to
John
be a
Riella.
Christian? No? Okay then. The thing is that, did I ever tell you guys the time that I went to go visit a psychic while claiming to be a Christian? No? Okay then. The thing is that part of the reason why